Welcome back, Gale Force, and thank you for attending my presentation about Sigurd, the first Lord of Genealogy of the Holy War, and first let's talk about his traits. As the main character of Part 1, Sigurd is with you from the first turn of the prologue. He has very high bases to work with, as well as notably very good growths, especially when one takes account of what the average growths in genealogy tend to look like. He's capable of wielding any sword, as well as lances of B rank or lower. He comes with Pursuit, often seen as the single most important skill in genealogy, and has two leadership stars to make use of. Finally, Sigurd is a mounted unit in a game with after combat Canto. Sigurd is often referred to as the best Lord character in the entire franchise, and it's really hard to not see why. He'll likely be the strongest character you have in the entirety of Part 1, with no other character really able to match his mobility and combat potential. He gets access to the Silver Sword most of the way through the prologue and can make great use of it for his entire tenure as a playable character. He can wield javelins for the occasional niche situation one might want him to have 1 to 2 range, or can even simply borrow Ethelin's Light Brand. However, Sigurd does have a few minor weaknesses. Not enough to stop him from being the single best unit in the first generation, bar none, but flaws nonetheless. The most notable of which is definitely his low resistance, which generally isn't a problem but does leave him at a slight disadvantage against magic focused squads and especially sleep staves. He's also a game over condition, and while he's unlikely to actually be the cause of one, it can still force a player to be slightly more conservative with him, as getting Sigurd in a place where a healer can't reach him can sometimes lead to situations where you'll be forced to restart a chapter. In the scheme of things, though, these are relatively minor issues compared to the single biggest issue that impacts Sigurd as well as the majority of the first generation cast. They utterly crash and burn at the end of Part 1. I mean, they're practically unusable come Part 2. In conclusion, Sigurd is a fantastic unit and contender for not just the best lord, but one of the best characters in the entire franchise. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and click the bell if you'd like to get notified when I post a new video. A special thank you to patrons 60 Sweep and Gorilla Danny for subscribing at the Paladin tier, and Average Stat Pat and Caius Griffin for subscribing at the Great Lord tier. And also to YouTube members Jerry for joining at the Paladin tier and Caius Griffin, who again joined at the Great Lord tier. I'd really appreciate if you checked out the links in the description if you can, but otherwise, have a great rest of your day.